Look at this photograph of Jawaharlal Nehru and Rajendra Prasad in the early days of independence. At the time, Nehru and other leaders were casually using both India and Bharat in their speeches. But legally, the new republic had a blank space where its name should be. That legal vacuum had a hard expiration date, September 17, 1949. On this exact day, the permanent name of the country had to be written into Article 1 of the new Constitution. This is the Constituent Assembly. Hundreds of delegates gathered in this massive circular hall to decide the fate and the identity of the nation. The delegates understood the stakes. A nation's name is its ultimate constitutional foundation, the single word from which all its future laws and global treaties would flow. This is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. On that September morning, he presented the final draft of Article 1 to the Assembly. This visualization shows the exact wording he proposed for the very first clause. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. By moving this as a formal motion, Ambedkar locked those specific words in as a proposal. The text was now placed on the floor, subject to immediate, rigorous debate and a final binding vote. The arrangement of these two names forced the room to confront a deep philosophical problem: how they wanted the world to perceive the new republic. The Assembly operated under strict protocols. Every spoken argument, every counterproposal, and every grammatical suggestion during this debate was rigorously documented and preserved. They recorded these transcripts deliberately. If future generations ever debated why the country had a dual name, they would have a clear, historical roadmap explaining the exact reasoning. This diagram shows the level of syntax scrutiny the motion faced. The delegates argued intensely over the exact placement of commas and whether India or Bharat should appear first in the sentence. The founders treated this single sentence as a carefully engineered statement. Every punctuation mark carried political weight. As the debate opened, H.V. Kamath raised an immediate objection. He argued that when a child is born, it receives a traditional naming ceremony, and a newly independent country required the same respect. Kamath offered culturally rooted alternatives for the document. He suggested the nation be officially named Bharat Varsh, Bharat Bhumi, or simply Bharath. Meanwhile, another faction Iran pushed for different historical titles, arguing the country should officially adopt Hind or Hindustan. The discussion began to fracture. Dr. Ambedkar intervened, bringing the room to order and explicitly restricting the debate strictly to the merits of the two names in his motion, India versus Bharath. Delegate Govind Das proposed a compromise. He wanted the text to read, Bharat, that is known as India in foreign countries. He cited the emotional weight of the phrase Bharat Mata Ki Jai, which had driven the entire freedom struggle. Kamalapati Tripathi took a similar stance on the syntax. He argued for Bharat, that is India, formally protesting the idea that the foreign name should precede the indigenous one in their own founding document. The hours-long debate exposed an underlying tension. It was a clash between the deep cultural emotion tied to the land and the international diplomatic pragmatism required for a new state entering the global stage. After hours of passionate, fractured arguments, the Assembly was exhausted. The time to cast a formal vote finally arrived. This is the Parliament building where that legislative authority was cemented. Despite the fierce disagreements, Ambedkar's original motion passed unanimously. Not a single delegate cast a dissenting vote. India, that is Bharat, was officially and permanently codified into Article 1 of the Constitution. The deeply divided factions had weighed their cultural passions against the need for a unified front. They deliberately chose absolute compromise over division to forge the nation's identity. Following that 1949 decision, a practical, unwritten rule naturally evolved. In formal usage, Hindi communication defaults to Bharat, while English communication defaults to India. This is a split-screen illustration showing an Indian passport and a currency note. Look closely at the text. Wherever the document uses Hindi, you will find Bharat. Wherever it uses English, you will find India. Even the official translations of the Constitution obey this rule. The Hindi version deliberately reverses the English syntax, reading Bharath artat India. The Constituent Assembly engineered an elegant, unspoken communication protocol. By adopting both names, they created a permanent linguistic balance between the country's ancient cultural heritage and its modern global identity.
ಇನ್ನೂ ಈ ತರಹ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹಾಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆನ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹೌದು.
ಸಿಗೋಣ ಮುಂದಿನ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.